classes online. They're really keeping me motivated.
There you go.
That's picture.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, guys. So thank you for joining. We figured a lot of people are doing like nutrition challenges and stuff because let's all face it, we're home. We have more time to like meal prep and concentrate on nutrition. So now is a pretty good time to start focusing on it. It gives you something else to do with the monotony of being home all day. You know, we're working, we have like maybe our 1 hour Zoom class. And then other than that, like let's focus on something else. So the way we're gonna frame this up, and also, by the way, first of all, if you guys haven't met me, I'm Ashley. I got in one class of coaching before COVID. So I'm gonna coach Wednesdays and fill in some other times. But again, I got one class in and then this happened, which is super unfortunate. So I can't wait for everything to be back open so I can get to know more people and get to know everyone else. But with that said, I also coach at another gym. I'm their nutrition coach, and I recently got certified with a nutrition certification about a couple months ago, and I just love this stuff. So like, I love talking about nutrition. I wish I could do it full time, but unfortunately that doesn't really pay the bills. So, you know, I try to do whatever I can in my spare time. So one of the things I did for the other gym was start this nutrition challenge. And so everything I just said about like having the time to focus on stuff like this is, you know, great. We are not rushing out to work. We have time to cook breakfast. We have time to cook our meals. I know obviously getting to the grocery store and vegetables and things like that can be a little tough, but for the most part, you know, we're all kind of in a better place right now. So why not set some good habits for the future? So what we're going to do is start really, really small. Whenever we do challenges, I don't like the idea of like pushing a million things at people because it gets really confusing. So what we want to do is start with one challenge. So you have one thing that you're going to focus on for the next 7 days. And then next Thursday, we can meet, we'll talk about it, and layer on a second thing. So literally it's one thing you're going to focus on for the next week. So the thing we're going to talk about this week is protein. And Liz very aptly put in the invite, are you scared of losing your gains? So one of the things that as we're all working out, we're all CrossFitters, we need a lot of protein to maintain muscle mass, to gain muscle mass, to lose fat, to keep lean mass. Protein has just like so many important factors in the way we eat. Whenever I talk to anyone about nutrition, it's usually the first thing I ask is, are you getting enough protein? Because chances are if you're not getting enough protein, you're getting a lot of calories from carbs and fat. Carbs are great, fat is great. In excess amounts, both those things are going to contribute to you not, you know, having the lean body and like gaining the strength that you want. So that's where protein comes in. So what the challenge is for the next 7 days, starting tomorrow, and I know this is actually a really good challenge over the weekend because even if we want to imbibe in cocktails, you can still do the challenge, is we're going to try to eat our body weight in protein, in grams of protein. The exception to that is if anyone on this call, and I'm going to talk about all the ways that it's very easy to do that. So unless anyone on this call feels like they have a lot of weight to lose, what we would do is try to eat our goal weight in protein. So if I'm 150 pounds, you know, obviously that's not a lot, but say I wanted to lose, you know, 20 pounds, that's 130. I would aim to eat 130 pounds or 130 grams of protein a day. If I weigh 150 and I'm in, you know, I'm happy with where I'm at, potentially I want to gain strength, I want to stay about the same weight, but maybe like kind of recomp how my body looks, 150 grams of protein around for this challenge is a really good way to do that. So, you know, if you're looking at me and you're like, how am I going to know if I'm eating 150 grams of protein, or how am I going to know how much protein I'm eating? There's a couple ways we can do it. The first way is literally to use your hand. So if you look at your hand, the size of your palm is literally about 3 ounces of cooked meat, and it's about 1 inch thick. So like literally the size of your palm. It's about 3 ounces of meat. That translates to about 7 grams of protein. So if you eat like at every meal, if everyone could just really think about doing like 1 to 2 palms of protein at every meal you eat, for all of us, that's probably sufficient. So we don't need to make it any harder than that. Somehow it seems really easy to like think about like, oh, I eat protein. But when some people actually like start going through this challenge, they realize that like maybe their breakfast is oatmeal and peanut butter and berries, and their lunch is a salad with, you know, chips, and their dinner is maybe like some chicken or something like that, vegetables, and then that's it. So they're probably only getting, you know, a sufficient amount of protein at that dinner meal, and maybe snacks or like pretzels or nuts or something like that. Now, of course, nuts have protein and other foods have protein, but what we're going to focus on is like the lean protein at every single meal. The other thing that makes it kind of easy to track how much protein you're eating is that a lot of foods that we eat have that nutrition label on the side. So if you're going to have eggs or egg whites, it's very easy just to look at the nutrition label and see where we're at. The hardest thing is usually like the proteins, like the chicken and the meats and things like that. So that's where, you know, we don't have to get into like weighing and measuring or do anything. But the goal is literally just to think about at every single meal you're eating, whether it's 3 meals, 4 meals, or 5 meals, we're trying to get about that palmful of a lean protein. And we can talk lean proteins, and for that is like chicken breasts, chicken thighs, meats, usually like a lower fat cut meat, pretty much all seafood, which is great, eggs, egg whites, and things like that. So that's what I mean when we're talking about the focus of protein. So I'm going to stop here for a second. And I also have a bunch of infographics, lists, and stuff like that that I will upload to the Facebook page in the morning to really help you make good protein choices. And kind of I'll also send a graphic of what that POM looks like and what that protein looks like. So you'll definitely have resources that you can use for this. But I want to stop and see if anyone has any thoughts. Like, does anyone think, oh, I definitely know I have a problem with protein, or if there's just any initial thoughts?
Everybody's on mute, so you'll have to mute yourself.
So yeah, you might have to unmute yourself if you want to yap at all.
And it's usually in the lower left corner.
Yeah. Well, like, what do you guys think? Do you think you eat enough protein?
I feel like I probably eat plenty.
Okay, that's great.
I don't eat a lot of carbs because I'm pretty paleo, so I am curious to really like measure it though and check. Because I'm not a good measuring person. Like I could never do macros. That would make me crazy.
Sure. And that's honestly, that's the point of this challenge is like, you don't actually need to weigh and measure everything you eat. We use, so you guys will see, I'm going to like just preface this pretty quickly. I work with a lot of people with nutrition, and I use my hand for basically every meal that a person will eat. So we'll go through this like super quickly just so you have an idea, and you'll see this in the coming weeks of challenges. Usually your palm is about 3 ounces of meat. If I cut my fist, that's about a serving of vegetables. If I cut my hand and I look inside my hand, it's about a serving of carbs. And if I look at my thumb, that's about a serving of fat. So it is super easy to build your plate. Every plate that you have for a meal should have those 4 components, and you can just eyeball everything. So like, you know, the majority of people out there, we don't need to like measure our food and get it on a food scale. We literally can look at our hand, look at our plate and say, you know, does my plate look like those portions of my hand? And like, you've built a healthy plate. So that's where we're starting with that protein, is for you guys to think about it every meal. Do I have that like palm size of protein?
I love it.
Yeah. It makes it easy, and it just makes you more cognizant. I also like, one of my favorite ways when I like learn this too is, you know, some people do like to be pretty strict in what they eat. And then when you go out to a restaurant, it's super hard because you're like, oh man, do I just like throw it out the window because of, you know, what they're going to serve me. But if you think about that rule and like you think about those 4 things at every plate, you just try to build your plate as kind of like, let me get a lean, like if I order pasta with spaghetti or pasta with sauce, you know, again, sometimes we want to go and have the pasta. But, you know, if I can add some grilled shrimp to that, like there's my protein. If I can sub in some steamed broccoli with some of that pasta, there's my vegetable. Like you literally just try to think about building that plate. So like, that's the challenge. Like if you were going to have, you know, pasta with spaghetti sauce and cheese tomorrow night, you know, let's get in that lean protein. And there you go. Like you've made that part of the challenge.
Well, one of the reasons actually, and I talked about like starting with protein, especially because we maybe aren't lifting as much as we usually do and some things like that, and getting quite the same level of exercise we usually are, that protein becomes all that much more important.
Yep.
Because of also like not only just the protein itself that's there, but the amino acids that it contains.
Yep.
Because if your body doesn't have enough of those, it's going to start attacking your muscle to get those amino acids. So
Yep.
in order, again, like to preserve your muscle mass, that protein becomes that much more important.
Yep.
Even if you feel like, well, maybe I'm not lifting as much right now, or I'm not focusing on that, it's still important to eat that protein to preserve what you do have.
Yeah. And to that point, if we aren't eating enough protein and we're hungry, like I'd mentioned before, like you're probably going to be overeating carbs and fat. The thing with protein is if I overeat carbs and fat, my body wants to hang on to that. All of our bodies want to hang on to that. Our fat stores in our body love carbs and fat. However, protein keeps getting recycled in the body, so it's actually pretty hard to overeat protein, and protein does not get stored in your body the same way fat and carbs do. Now, I eat more carbs than you can imagine, so say there's nothing wrong with carbs, but the more protein you eat, the fuller you're going to be, and the less fatty, the less intake overall you're probably going to do, which is going to contribute to weight loss and maintaining that muscle mass, as Liz said too.
Well, and let's be honest, when we're just bored and grabbing something out of the pantry, not too often you go grab, like my husband will do it. He will grab meat out of the fridge and eat it. But I'm more likely to go for like the chips or the crackers or like that.
Right. So like think that's a great example. Like think about being cognizant of that. Like if you were going to get a snack of like some pretzels, maybe layer in, like, I know it sounds silly, but like a couple slices of deli turkey, or like a hard-boiled egg or two, like just things like that, like just trying to eat that protein alongside. Because the other thing too is if I'm going to eat pretzels, right, those are going to digest in my body pretty quick and turn to sugar, because that's what carbs do. If I eat those pretzels with a hard-boiled egg, the digestion rate is so much slower, and my body actually uses those pretzels more efficiently. So like literally protein is like the building block of everything we eat, and it even helps like negate bad food choices if we're getting enough protein. Not like all the bad food choices, but you know what I mean.
So Ashley, one question. So if I heard you right, we should eat the grams towards the target weight. So my target weight, or I wanted to be 180, I would eat 180 grams.
Yeah, that's absolutely great. For most people, what's interesting is for most CrossFitters, we can usually eat our body weight in protein or more. So like if I was to do macros, if I was to calculate macros for a lot of the members,
I have a question.
that are working out 5 times a day or something.
Okay.
We would definitely be eating our body weight or more. If you have a lot to lose, that's where I would say you would go for your goal weight. So Chad, you still could aim to eat protein that's like about your body weight.
It's so hard to eat that much protein.
Yeah, you're not in the group of like
Really?
to lose lots and lots of weight.
Hey, Ashley, should you cap out a certain amount with a protein shake? Should you not go like overcome?
Like food sources of a shake?
Yep.
Yep, great question. So when we can, ideally, our protein comes from food. And the reason is because food has a lot of other micronutrients and vitamins that we can't get from protein shakes. So like when in doubt, always eat real food. However, for a lot of people, it's hard to hit that protein. Nothing wrong with having like a protein shake a day to get in. If you have a scoop of protein, it's like 25 grams of protein. That's a lot. So there's nothing wrong with having a shake and supplementing a little bit of protein powder. But like, if you're home and you can make a snack that's real food, I would always prefer that over the shake.
Okay, I have a question going back to the palm.
Mm-hmm.
So you said the palm of your hand, and that's about 3 ounces of chicken.
Yep.
And that's 7 grams?
Oh, sorry. 1 ounce of protein is 7 grams. So if you're looking at your palm and you're going to eat 3 ounces of chicken, that's 21. So that's
okay, that makes more sense.
Yep. So if you have, 3 meals of that and a protein shake, like you're already at like almost 100 grams of protein. And then, you know, you're going to get protein from other food sources that are coming in. So like when you break it down like that, it, you know, it doesn't seem that hard, but for a lot of us, it's, you know, protein is really hard to get in. I work with a lot of people who, you know, don't even come close. So it's really just about like being more cognizant and trying to get that lean protein in at every meal.
Jen, I think when you talk about it being really hard to get that protein in,
Yeah.
especially if you're doing intermittent fasting,
Yeah.
and you don't have that egg meal at the beginning of the day, because eggs are such an easy source of protein, and we tend to we can eat a lot of them, even if it's egg whites, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mixing that in there. When you don't have that, then you got to start adding in, you got to make sure you're still getting your meals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we always do breakfast, always for lunch, but I only have 2 meals a day. So typically, so it's very hard for me to get in all that protein.
So she's here and she's going to learn a lot from this class. I do have one question.
So my question for you, Jen. So, you know, I don't negate any type of eating. I think IF, intermittent fasting, is great if it works for you. Absolutely. But yes, intermittent fasting makes it very hard to meet your macro and calorie goals. A problem can be, so a lot of athletes undereat. I work with so many people who undereat, and unfortunately, undereating can almost be as bad as overeating in a lot of circumstances. So like your metabolism can get shot and things like that. So if you can hit all your calories and macro goals and things like that with IF, then like amazing. But that is the point in trying to make sure you can do that within those 2 meals.
She needs more than 2 meals. I have a question. I have somewhere between 1/3 and 1/4 of my protein calories are shakes.
Okay.
I don't feel like it's too much, but I guess I mean, my concern is so if I do 60-ish calories in shake, but I'm hitting 200, I'm not calories, grams of, right. But I hit 200 consistently every day. Do you think that 60 too much for that ratio?
So here's the thing. I would rather you have the shake than not have a meal. So
right. Well, I mean, I would get the 200. The shake makes it easier.
No, yeah, I don't
I'm concerned that I'm doing too much shake.
No, I mean, it has its ups and it has its downs. Overall, you eating the protein is more important to me than not eating the protein. So that would always take the preference. But it's just it's like losing out on some of the micronutrients and vitamins that real food can bring you. But at the end of the day, a protein source is a protein source. And
I'm still getting 140 of real food protein.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So I think that's fine. And one of the things, and not to hint, but we'll talk about it next week, is fat. So, to your point, a protein shake is a very low fat protein source. It is a lean protein source, which is great. Sometimes it is very hard to think about I'm getting protein in this ribeye, but unfortunately I'm probably also getting 30 grams of fat or half the day's allotment of fat. So that's why, I've been saying this whole time, we want to focus on lean proteins because we don't want to take in a lot of excess fat while trying to up our protein intake. Again, I will upload a graphic and things like that to that really outline what those good lean protein sources are, so you can try to focus the bulk of your eating on those.
So anybody disagree or this is totally loose, right? I think I agree with what Ashley's saying, but I think it's interesting if you're no, I think that doesn't work for me, and here's why. It's always good to have discussion. So if anybody feels differently, by all means, speak up. Let's talk about it.
I have a question because I don't do any supplemental protein, shakes, any of the, we have Ascent in our house. I literally have used it at competitions, when it's just something easy way to get it. Is there, is that something I should have been doing this whole time? I don't know. Everyone's so on that train, which keep buying it, especially while the gym is closed. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to not make Chad sell protein. But the answer is no. If you can get all your protein from food sources, you don't need a supplement. The majority of us don't need a supplement. Okay. So it's if we like it, it's fast, it's easy to digest. If you're gonna work out and then you don't have access to a meal, I think a protein shake is great to help your muscles recover.
Yeah, Greek definitely uses it to get more protein for sure. He definitely needs it, but I just was wondering if there was what your thoughts were.
Well,
Nope.
there's people who it could be more helpful for, right? Like those hard gainers who can't like have trouble getting in all the calories and all the macros that they need, then that's very helpful. It can also be helpful like if you are like people who need it, or people who are like competitive athletes who have like the nutrient timing comes into play and that sort of stuff. And that quick uptake is really important for those sorts of people because they have to get back onto their second workout or third workout for the day. So those are the people that the protein powders are essential for. The rest of us, it's a convenience thing.
Right.
Right. And convenience and taste, like for us, a lot of times it's like, it's a great sub instead of having, if you can have your chocolate protein shake instead of having a bar of chocolate, awesome. You know?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
those are like the main reasons you would want to, at least that's from my perspective. Actually, feel free to.
Nope, I completely agree with you. Nicole, I literally have one protein shake a week, and it's like when I coach and I don't have time to eat, I will have a protein shake while I'm coaching so I can sip on that. And literally, I think I have a protein shake once a week. So
cool. Thanks.
Yep.
But do you sometimes put it in your oatmeal?
Oh, that's a lie. I do sometimes put,
Busted.
That's fair.
Her 8 o'clock oatmeal at night.
I like 8 o'clock oatmeal. See, carbs before bed are totally fine. What else? Any other questions? So like, that's why, so before what I was saying with this challenge, it's a really good one because like, I'm not telling you, you can't drink this weekend. I'm not telling you to like watch your fat intake. I'm literally just telling you like tomorrow night, if you're going to have pizza and beer, awesome. Have a salad with grilled chicken on the side. Like just get your protein in at every meal you eat for the next 7 days. And like, we have the email, we have the Facebook group. You guys can ask questions. We can, put ideas there for like how you're getting your protein in, which I think could be super helpful. But that's it. Like, that's the only thing you need to be cognizant of for the next couple days.
And I think part of the intent of this too is also just to be informative too, right? So you learn something new, like termed it a challenge because Ash just throwing out a challenge for us for the week. But also it's just, let's get informed while we have a little bit of extra time.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. And I think that you said awareness, informed and awareness this first week on this protein piece. And I know you say kind of eyeball the protein, and there's still value to that. But I think most people would be really surprised how little protein they're getting. Yeah. And I just, like for me, and I've done it for probably 6 months now, is I count my protein every day, and I weigh stuff and eyeball it. But I got the eye down, like I know, right? But I think that people that are trying to do this, they should really know how much protein they're putting in. More than the eyeball in it. It's a good step, and baby steps are good. But I think people would be surprised. Like Jen blown away that she's only getting 100 a day.
Yeah.
And she should be getting 140.
So you make an awesome point, right? I completely agree with you. And I think that's where this starts, is like baby steps. So is kind of seeing like for somebody to realize like, oh my God, I'm probably only taking in like 50 grams of protein a day. If that like kind of ignites something of like, I want to learn more. Like I want to know how many grams of protein I should be taking in every day and how much carbohydrates I should be and fat and things like that. This is kind of like, as you said, the awareness stage to that. But for a lot of people, like as Nicole said, like counting can be very overwhelming, and like measuring and weighing. I do it too. Like I count macros for probably like 80% of the year because I love it. And like but it's for me, it's not for a lot of people. But if people do kind of like, as you said, like as this challenge goes and they're realizing they don't get enough and like, hey, maybe this is affecting my performance in the gym and how I want my body to look, then like there's definitely a next step in how we can like, I can work with you, Liz can work with you to like really figure out what your goals are and how you can hit them.
Well, and Robert, with those 6 months of you really focusing on that stuff, you've made a lot of gains. Like you have really improved a lot.
Cool.
You leaned down while also increasing strength. And I think that probably has a lot to do with it.
Yep.
No, the protein thing was, I'm a big, big believer.
Robert?
Yeah, me too.
What'd you say, Chad?
Robert, you've inspired me.
Aww.
Just don't fall off a a roof, Chad. You'll be fine for a while.
And like he falls off the roof and he just bounces right back and he's the weights overhead like there's no tomorrow.
Hey, to that point, protein helps you recover, so
Yeah.
you chose a good time.
Well, this was awesome. Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah.
When are you gonna send out like the lean protein tips or ideas?
I will either put it on Facebook tonight or first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Cool.
can probably do it tonight.
And then
That
Ashley email it to me and I'll put it in the email to everybody in the next day or two.
Cool.
You
Yeah.
still getting the emails from Chad?
And we'll still do this next week, same time, same place.
Yeah.
For the next challenge, the next
Yeah,
thing.
we'll talk about this week.
Keep building.
Are we gonna eliminate drinking, or is that off
No.
the table now?
It's quarantine. I don't think this is, there might be a challenge where like, so we'll do it every Thursday. Hopefully in 3 Thursdays, we are back in the gym.
Yeah.
But no, I don't eliminate anything. So just if I'm doing these challenges, I don't think there's ever a time that you need to eliminate anything from your diet, and that includes alcohol. Now, obviously, is there a moderation to be, you have goals? Yes. But
Right.
no, we don't eliminate anything.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want the option. I'm not drinking every day. I just want the
I get it.
option.
No, I love it. You have the option. Yeah.
Right.
What?
Uh-huh. We believe you.
I've actually been really good because Treek's still like working
What
and
did you do all
stuff.
day today?
But tomorrow's
I
Friday.
worked out and I went on like a 3-mile run,
You built
like
a
a
bar.
run, and Treek went with me.
You built a bar.
And I haven't drank anything today. Have I drank it all today?
She's not listening to you. He said you built your bar today. That's why he's giving you crap, because he knows what he saw my Marco Polo.
I did build a bar, but I haven't initiated it at all. I'm waiting till tomorrow's happy hour